first thing I hear, or the first thing I feel when I hear your music is joy. I feel
Thank you.
joy in your music. Your music contains a joy that, I know this sounds really weird, but like, your music makes me feel like the kind of euphoria that I felt when I was a little kid with my grandmother.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm touched.
And like,
that's great.
And I swear to God, and it's like, yeah, it's weird. Like when I listen to it, I'm like, wow, like it gives me that same euphoric feeling like it was a Saturday morning and my grandmother was going to take me out for the day and buy a sundae, and she would play like, you know, upbeat like music. So I guess a lot of that music that she listened to kind of like snuck into my subconscious. So like when I hear your music, it takes me right back to those times in my mind.
Oh, wow. I love
so like I hope that's not weird.
I love that imagery. No, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was like, and so like when me and Lynn go to take a walk, and I put your playlist on, and it's just like, I listen to your Spotify, and I get the same feeling again. I'm like, and then so that's the first feeling I feel when I listen to your music. The second one is amazement. Like, where the heck did he hear all this music from? Like, now when you, let's say you're cleaning out a closet in your cupboard in your kitchen, do you just all of a sudden get like a bullet hit you in the head? It's like a piece of music, and then you got to go run to your computer. I mean, what is your process? Because I have a process. So,
right.
What is your process? Like, I want to hear your process for like when you start to get the mental itch. The itch comes for something. Does it start out as fully realized, or is it just like little sketches, and it's like a blurry picture that's not all the way? You know, like for music, for me, sometimes it's like a picture with cellophane over it. I can't really make it out.
Yeah.
How does that work for you? Tell me tell me your process.
Yeah, that's a great question. I usually don't hear music when I'm doing kind of mundane things like my own. I usually don't hear any. I mean, I'm listening to music and listening to things, but I don't. Usually how I write is that I'll make time. I try to make time every day to sit down at the piano and write. And when I'm sitting down at the piano, that's when I write. I don't really hear something in the car, or I think because of my anxiety, I'm always thinking of just what I'm doing right now. And so very, very few often, I can only think of a few times when something hit me where I said, I have to go write that down. Usually it's always when I'm in front of a piano and I'm in work mode and I say, okay, let me play around with this sketch and this idea. And then that's when I write. So unless I'm in front of a piano, I usually never get inspired. That's why I try to take time every day to be in front of the piano, to be writing. So I think of it more as like discipline and exercise, and more of a discipline when I sit down. And it's more like usually it comes from hearing something that I like a lot from either the radio or something that I grew up listening to another artist. And usually it's hearing something that is attractive to me that says, I want to steal that and use that. And I like how this song goes. And I want to try, let me see if I could use their little idea. And let's see, let me play their idea on the piano. And what do I like about that? Oh, I like this. Well, I'm going to take this and maybe change it a little bit. And then with that, it becomes, I try to make it my own thing. So I'm very influenced by, so when I do sit down, I do hear things from my childhood, from music being played, from my parents always playing music in the house. So it's almost like a memory of something that I've heard before. And I work with that memory until it becomes something that's very pleasing or satisfying to me at the piano. And and I kind of just I work with that, and so yeah, it's so hard to explain because it's I mean, it's a great question, but it's hard to explain because you don't. When I'm there, I'm at the piano and there's just an open sketch pad. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's more listening to I don't
something
know.
is a springboard or a catalyst for your
Yeah.
So like if you like as you're sitting at the piano, you're about to drop your hands on it. Do you just play around first and then?
I'll play
around. You're just riffing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll riff, and many times if I'm like, when I'm commissioned or asked to write something, I figure out what it is, what I kind of, I'll go and listen to a piece, excuse me, by a piece that I really love, and I'll figure out what there's something in that piece, whether it's a Beatles song or whether it's a Mozart symphony. There's some little thing that I like, and I'll grab that and I'll work with that and rework it so it sounds original or something like that. So I'm always influenced by other pieces of music, and that's what I think. From growing up listening to so much music in the house, my parents would always have the radio on as a kid, and radios all around the house in every room, and there was so much music. So it's like I'm still grabbing some of those pieces from my memory from childhood, and I'm still working on those pieces even years later. So sometimes when I'm writing a piece, I'll unconsciously have a flashback to, oh my gosh, I remember when I was at my grandparents' ranch and I heard this. And so it's cool how so memory has a huge component of how it's like I'm finding things that I've forgotten a long time ago, and I try to make them my own now. So it's not like I'm copying music, but I'm borrowing something that I'm trying to work out a forgotten memory somehow of what it, and maybe that's part of why a lot of my music sounds happy and joyous, like you said, because many people have said that, and it is very happy music. And I'm a happy guy, but I mean, like, for the most part, I'm very sensitive and shy and anxious. So it's like I'm not some of those. So it's kind of funny because some of the music sounds much happier than I'm really feeling. But I'm trying to attain that happiness. So I'm trying to get there.
And I'm a happy person. My music's very depressing and sad. So, I mean, I don't know why I'm drawn more to like for writing for myself, not listening, but like for writing. It's so weird how I guess a lot of actors will say it's fun to play a bad guy when they're such nice people.
Yeah, right.
It gives them license to be somebody else for a minute, so. Yeah. Maybe that's what we're both longing for in a way or something.
Sure.
Because you are a happy person and very jovial. And,
no, that's true.
And your music is wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no. Now when you say you work out the parts, because your music has violins and horns, and you have all the elements of a classical symphonic arrangements. So you have like from violas in there to like bells and things. So once you lay the foundation on the piano, like the main, the chords and the melodies in there, when do you start to separate and go, all right, I'm going to make all these counterpoints and all these other is that once the recording process starts? Like do you just like lay it out like from front to begin, like from the front to back, you lay the whole thing out as one performance on the piano and then start to add things like in a symphonic manner? Is that
no, I usually work in chunks. So I don't, nothing, whenever I start a piece of music, I have no idea where it's going to end. Or I have no idea what's going to come in the next 12 bars. I have no idea. So I'll start with an idea that I really like on the piano. And if I'm writing just freely, mostly I've been writing a lot of symphonic work. So I'll write on the piano, and then somehow I'll just hear, okay, a flute's going to play this. And then, okay. And then a clarinet should answer this. And I'll use the piano and chords as a foundation. And sometimes I'll leave the piano in there. Sometimes I'll say, okay, now take the piano out now that you have your chord structure. And we're going to put in a bassoon, and we're going to put in a French horn. And so it is hearing, it's, I don't know how I hear that, but I mean, it's it's so I orchestrate as I go on, almost bar by bar. It's kind of like, well, yeah, this flute's going to play. I like this melody on the piano. Okay, so that flute's going to play that melody, and then this melody, maybe a clarinet would sound really good here. Okay, and maybe why don't we double that with some bells and do that, and having access to a computer and a sampler and all these great sounds is just, it saves so much time. I mean, I don't know if I would have I never wrote music on paper. I mean, when I was 10, 11, I would write on paper, but that's because I didn't have access to a computer. So having access to a computer makes it so much easier, as you know. I don't know if I'd have the discipline to, well, I guess if I had no choice, I would write it on paper, sure. But you have that instant gratification of, oh, now
hearing
I can
hear it immediately and hearing it with great fidelity too, you know.
Yeah, and I'll hear it over and over, and then I'll say, oh, okay, this part needs to change. This part needs to, this needs a violin. And many times it's like, I have a great violin sound. Sometimes I'll write for the computer, which sounds bad, but I'll use the best sample. So if I have a really great sample of a bass clarinet, I'll use that sample. And so it's a very nonlinear way of writing. It's all kind of, but in terms of, it's a lot of it is intuitive. To me, a bassoon would sound really funny doing this. And then maybe bring a guitar in, and then maybe start a little rhythm thing with a stand-up bass. Okay, let me grab that bass and then do this. No, maybe a tuba would be funny here. And I mean, this is the first time I'm kind of breaking it apart. So it's
you have
great question.
take it apart. The question,